Good day, televiewers. I'm Dalsa Montalbanhizon at ito ang NegoTalk. Hindi maikakaila na malaki ang pang-akit ng Central Luzon sa mga foreign investors. Karamihan sa mga ito ay namumuhay na sa rehiyon kasama ang kanilang pamilya. At dahil iba't iba na ang kanilang nasyon, naging bukas ang bansa sa mga international schools na tutugon sa standards of education na kailangan nila upang maging globally competitive. Isa sa mga ito ang Noblesse International School, and we are fortunate to have here with us ang mga personalidad sa likod ng paaralang ito na sina Dr. Harvey Childs, ang school headmaster, at Mr. Arvin Dakis, ang human resource manager nila. Welcome po sa NegoTalk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Welcome.
very much.
All right, and thank you very much. I know you have a very busy schedule, lalo na ngayon pasok ka na, no? But we are very interested to know kung ano ba ang Noblesse International School and what is really an international school. But before we start that discussion, maybe you could give us a brief history on how Noblesse started here in the Philippines.
Certainly. The school was founded by Chairman Iksun Lee, and because of his desire to establish a curriculum and an opportunity internationally for students, because the Korean curriculum is very, very lockstep, very rigid. So 7 years ago, the school was started, and the building was built, pardon me, at that point growing every grade level. So Chairman Lee and his business partners wanted an international school that would be truly representative and provide offerings, all different kinds of offerings, not only academic, but extracurricular and co-curricular offerings.
Okay. When we say international school, because we hear that all the time, so international school versus local school, is there a categorization such as that?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
DepEd is currently working on how they want to have international schools defined, because the market for international schools has grown so greatly. And because of the educational opportunities here in the Philippines. So what you normally look at when you look at an international school, you determine if a school is following the local curriculum, then for the most part, then you would consider it to be a local school. If international schools will normally be following some type of international curriculum, international standards with that. So,
All right.
Yes.
So there is a difference, a big difference between international curriculum and the local curriculum that
yes.
we follow here in the Philippines.
Yes.
What is the main difference?
The main difference in the international curriculum is more of a preparation to enter foreign universities, a very strong emphasis on English acquisition, and then also the academic preparation. In our case, we're the only international school in Pampanga that offers the International Baccalaureate Diploma, and a student who completes that diploma, in some cases in the United States, the universities waive their freshman year completely and they enter as a sophomore. So it's a very, very fine program.
Oh, okay. So meaning to say, as early as the preschool, grade school, the students in international schools are actually being prepared for entry into foreign universities. Am I right?
Yes, and local universities also. Our K-5 program is very much developmental. We want to make sure the students are acquiring English. We want to make certain they're getting an excellent foundation in the science and math, and also in Philippine history. We also offer Chinese language, and we also offer Korean language. And because we're an IB school, we'll be offering Filipino language beginning next year with that.
Okay.
So we develop the students K-5 fully and wholly so that they have a good background with art and music and activities and the academics. And then at 5th grade, we begin to look at what should they have from 6th grade to 10th grade that will improve them academically, that will give them the social skills, that will give them the communication skills and the intellectual skills to decide then at the sophomore year what direction that they want to go.
Oh, I see. You know, this is a new learning for me because I used to think that when you say international school, it just meant that there are enrollees who are not, Filipinos, or there are foreign nationals who are enrollees. But ang ibig palang sabihin po there are international standards that are being followed.
Yes,
Right.
and what you're seeing now, because there is across the world, such a confusion about, well, what is international school? What does that entail? So we follow what is called WASC accreditation guidelines.
WASC.
WASC, the Western Association of Schools and Colleges.
Okay.
And we are a candidate to be accredited for them. We are not yet accredited, but they will visit us this spring, and they did an initial review of our policies, etc., and identified 4 areas that they wanted us to work on, and they will come visit us in the spring again, and we anticipate at that point that we will have that full international accreditation.
Wow. Wow, good luck
Oh,
with
yes,
that.
thank you.
And when you say spring, what exactly do you mean? Which months are those? Because
Here, yes.
we,
Yeah,
we
that's
only
true.
have wet and dry season here.
That's true. I have not adjusted to that yet. They will come, they will do a site visit somewhere between February and April with
Okay,
us.
okay.
We
Mr.
will-
Dakis, you wanted to add
Yeah, sure.
something? to
Actually,
that?
in addition to that, like before acquiring, the international accreditation, of course, we have to go through with the local accreditation, and that goes to the Department of
okay.
Education recognition.
So prerequisite pa rin is
That's
the local accreditation.
Precisely.
All
We can't
right.
actually go through the international accreditation without DepEd recognizing our school.
All right.
So we are
right now,
recognized by Department of Education.
Okay, right now DepEd recognizes Noblesse as an international school.
Yes.
All right, and so you are just waiting for the time when WASC
Yes.
would come and actually
Yes,
say
because
that you
WASC
are
has a set way of looking at school to determine if they will accredit it, and for international schools, they have a set level of determination of things that they want to look at. So we have to meet that expectation, and then when they visit, then they look at everything to see how we've improved, what we've done, and then at that point you get what is called initial accreditation.
All right. Are you talking about the curriculum? How are they strict with the curriculum, or the things that they are looking at? Is it more of the curriculum or how the school is run or the
They're
operations?
looking at really both of those.
Okay.
They're looking at the curriculum in that if you are saying that you're following a Western standard, in our case we align curriculum in the United States with what is called the Common Core standard. So that's not really a curriculum, but it's a set of standards that students must meet in order to move through the curriculum that way.
I see.
And then from a management side, they look at how the school is managed. They look at the credentials of everyone. They look at the credentials of the teachers. They look at the number of teachers that are Western teachers as opposed to national local Filipino teachers. So in our case, 25% of our faculty have master's degrees and above. Half the faculty are educated or have experience in the United States. And we have a wonderful contingent of local Filipino faculty too. So they look at a number of different things, and it's not a one-time visit. It's an ongoing process. So if they visit in February, they will determine, did we make improvements on what they felt we should have done last year? And if we did, they will give us initial accreditation, and then we must put a plan together for 3 years about what we will achieve. And they will
Okay.
visit us again. So it's ongoing. Once you're WASC accredited, it doesn't mean that you will remain accredited. You must continue to improve your standard.
Oh, all right. So they monitor as well. So they don't just, it's not, like you mentioned, it's not a one-time thing. They also do guidance
Oh,
and
yes.
monitoring as well after they give the initial
Yes.
accreditation.
And in addition, also
Yes, sir.
our facilities. If we should have
Oh,
the
yes.
International standardized facilities.
Okay, so it's the curriculum, the operations, the facilities,
Yes.
all of that. Even the foreign Filipino ratio
Yes.
of the
Yes.
staff.
And-
What is the ideal number for an international
That's
school?
interesting. I think every international school defines it differently. Our target is to grow the school so that we have a 30% representation of local Filipino students and faculty, that we have a 30% representation of from Korea, and that the remaining 40% be from all other countries in the world.
Okay, so that is your target.
Yes,
Or is that the international?
that is our
Standard.
target.
All
That is
right.
our target.
All right, so good luck with that. We
Thank
have to
you.
pause for a short break. When we come back, let's talk about Noblesse as a business. Is there a market here in Pampanga for an international school
Yes.
like Noblesse? All right, so we will be back. Magbabalik po ang NegoTalk. tayo sa NegoTalk at kasama pa rin po natin ang ating mga panauhin mula sa Noblesse International School na sina Dr. Harvey Childs, ang kanilang headmaster, at si Mr. Arvin Dakis, ang kanilang HR manager. Okay. And of course, here in our studio are the school registrar, Ms. Zach Cunanan, and the school nurse, Ms. May Mercado. Medyo camera shy po sila, so they prefer to be off camera and just give their moral support to our sitting guests here. Okay, so back to our discussion. Earlier, you told us about what an international school is, the standards that they follow, that international schools actually follow, and the difference between international schools and local curriculum schools. All right. Now let's talk about Noblesse International School being a business. Is there a market actually here in Pampanga for an international school?
Yes, there is. What we are doing now is to market the school more in the more local population. We're establishing this year, for example, we are offering headmaster scholarships. If you're in 1st through the 8th grade and qualify, have a B average or above, you can get a 50 to 60% scholarship reduction off the tuition rate to encourage our local Filipino population to be a part of us.
So right now, your local population of students is at around what percent?
Roughly 60. Roughly 40 to 50% K-5 and about 75% Korean at the high school level and 25% other.
Oh, okay. Yes. All right. So basically, who are you targeting? Are you targeting Filipinos or are you targeting non-Filipino nationals?
Right now, our target market here is to get our local Filipino children, give them the opportunity to attend our school because of the quality of education and because of the fact that we do have such a highly trained faculty, both our Filipino faculty and both our American and international faculty. Well, we have faculty from Canada, we have faculty from Africa, from China, from the United States, from Turkey. So we bring a great value with that. So we're trying to get the word out to our local community about that value. And with that, so our initial market now is that. We want to get the word out locally, but we are also working on how we will continue then to expand, to do international recruiting in a variety of areas.
All right. And the value that I see there is that the child, let's say a Filipino child who enrolls in your school, actually gets a cross-section of the world. I mean, it's initial exposure to the world, and by the time he wants to get into university, he's actually used to having different cultures all around him, from the teachers, from the students.
Exactly. Our International Baccalaureate director, Mr. Samakula, is from Africa, actually from Uganda, and a fine man. But many of our local students would have not had the chance to interact with an educated African-American professional.
Right.
And as I said, in our science area, Mr. Unal is from Turkey. So we give them an opportunity to interact with a wide variety of faculty that way. And our students have been quite successful. We've had 3 graduating classes, about 7 of each class. This last graduating class, we had a young man who received a full ride to the University of Colorado at Boulder, a young lady who received a full scholarship to Michigan State University, valued at somewhere around $150,000. And we have 2 students who are also at Penn State University now.
Wow, and that says a lot about the quality of education over at Noblesse, I guess.
Yeah, with the qualifications of our teachers and the facilities that we have right now, we just want to correct the notion na yung school namin, the school is only for wealthy people, for rich people.
Or for foreign nationals.
Yeah, for foreign national. That's why we are actually doing the market right now. Inihikayat namin yung mga natin na mga estudyante na may capacity naman when it comes to sa pag-aaral nila. So right now I think we have 4 major scholars, so they're not paying anything.
Yes.
And we're actually spending like almost $500,000 for one student only.
Yes.
And they're actually enjoying all the benefits,
And extremely bright young people.
Yeah.
Extremely
Kahit
bright
anak ng labandera, anak ng ng OFW, pwede silang mag-aral sa amin.
Okay, so may oportunidad na ganon sa Noblesse. And what is your requirement or what is your screening process para magkaroon ng ganong oportunidad yung bata na may potential naman?
For that scholarship, we actually need an endorsement from the city mayor, from the local government unit. If you receive an endorsement from the school, then to the local government unit through the city hall or the municipality. And once we receive that one, we screen that one according also to the general average of the ng estudyante.
Okay, so yung history ng bata, yung track record ng bata sa school
Precisely.
will be screened.
Precisely. But for our headmaster scholarship, meron kaming meron kaming requirement, and that will be assessed also by
Yes.
Dr. Childs.
So the students would apply, and they would give us a copy of a transcript so we can see what their grades are, except for the first and second graders, because we know transcript's not the best way to evaluate where they are. And then they have to have a letter of recommendation from a teacher or their previous school and another non-family adult. We sit and interview then and look at what they want to do, and then if they qualify for that, then they're afforded a 60% scholarship to our school to attend.
Okay, wow, that is really great. And that's good news for us here in the region.
Oh yes, very much so, very much so.
Or maybe not just in the region. I mean, in the whole Philippines, would you know how many international schools are existing already?
Oh,
based on international standards?
I don't know. I know that when we look at our standards, what we do is we examine the International School of Manila in terms of how they are not only structured, but their accreditation processes, etc. But we know many of their students are international students because it sits in the capital, and you have many of the foreign embassies who pay the tuition for the students to go there.
Right.
So there are many places that call themselves international schools, but truly are not international schools.
Wow, that would open our discussion to some controversy right here, but I am sure you are very willing to discuss that.
At some time, I'm willing to discuss that, yes. Yes.
All right, so isn't there any sanction for schools that call themselves international schools but don't actually follow international standards?
We just had a meeting with DepEd about 2 weeks ago. We actually sat in a seminar with the head of DepEd and someone who, not the headmaster, but someone who represented another private school. And in that conversation, the DepEd representative said that they're just now working on what they want to see happen for a school to be identified as an international school. Because of that very reason, they know that there are schools that are offering instruction that aren't even sanctioned by DepEd. Because people sometimes don't know that that's the process.
Exactly.
It's a quality process.
Exactly. So, you know, for schools to call themselves international school when they're actually not, well, or maybe it's a shallow definition of being international school, like just because of their enrollees or stuff like that, but not really following international standards. Isn't that a kind of, you know, fooling those who wish to enroll in international schools in the real sense?
That's a good question. I think it's marketing that is not completely honest, and it's also because there is no set definition, and if a local population sees international, the same thing in the United States. If a local population saw international school, well, many parents would want to enroll their students there, but they would know that it had to be licensed by the state, it had to be accredited, that type of thing. But because that model there's no unification here, that's why the DepEd representative said they're looking at that, so they can truly say an international school must have the following
Right.
things.
So it's an ongoing process still.
Oh, ongoing process.
Because
yes.
right now, for example, there are people or some of our viewers who would want to enroll their kids in an international school following international standards. What do they have to look for so they don't get shortchanged? But
very good question.
we will pause for a short break before you answer that. When we get back, that's what we will talk about. Magbabalik po ang Negotalk. tayo sa NegoTalk at kasama pa rin po natin ang ating mga guests mula sa Noblesse International School na sina Dr. Harvey Childs at Mr. Arvin Dakis. Okay, and of course, still with us here in the studio are Ms. Zac Conanan and Ms. May Mercado. Okay, ayaw pa rin po nilang magpakita, nahihiya pa din daw po sila. But, you know, they are too pretty to stay in the gallery.
That's
so
what
maybe
we told
later
them.
on we can get a glimpse of these beautiful girls.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to our discussion, this is really, you know, this is very interesting for me personally because I have children and I'm sure the moms out there are viewers who want their children to get the best kind of quality education are always on the lookout for schools like Noblesse. No? And are willing to pay for good quality education, but sometimes are misled into thinking that, you know, they get this kind of education when they actually don't, because as you mentioned earlier, there are schools that claim to be international schools but don't follow international standards.
Yes.
What are the telltale signs, like for protection of our viewers or for those who want to enroll their kids? What should they look for
That's
in
a
an
very good
international
question.
school?
The first thing they should look for is what schedule does the school follow? Is it following the Filipino school schedule?
Okay, which is June to March
Yes,
or
exactly.
April? Okay.
Or is it following more of an established international schedule, which traditionally is about 10 weeks off in the summer, a holiday break at winter of 2 to 3 weeks, and a
okay,
spring
there
break.
you go.
But equally important to that is to look at the curriculum. Are they following the curriculum, an international curriculum that's been recognized internationally, or are they in fact offering the majority of their instruction being in the local country's curriculum? So if I was in China and was advertising myself as an international school, I would not expect the school to be operating predominantly using the Chinese curriculum. I would expect to see a mixture of Western curriculum, a mixture of accreditation, etc., and then look at your staff in terms of the balance of the staff internationally, and then look at that point at the student body and English acquisition.
All right. Maybe you're right. Most important part or the most important thing to look at is really the curriculum, because that is really the meat of why students are being enrolled there.
Yes.
The standards are all there.
And you want to ask them how they're assessed too.
Yes.
The questions that we're asking next year are three. How do we know that the students know? How does the student know that they know? And then how does the public at large know? So we are using international assessments. Our language assessments are the TOEFL assessments beginning in the 3rd grade. Our international assessments in academic area. In a year we will be implementing what is called the American College Testing Curriculum in preparation with that. And then the year after that we will then sit and begin to have our students take the International Schools Assessment. So we'll be able to say, here's where our students are based on students all across the world on the TOEFL. Here's where they are compared to all students taking the ACT test. And for American University, they'll also take SAT preparation in the junior, senior year. And then we'll be able to say, here's where we sit in comparison to all other truly international schools.
Okay.
So that we have, that the data speaks for itself.
Because, well, some people take a different approach now. It used to be that when we take our kids to school, the kids are subjected to exams, interviews, etc.
Yes.
And you know that test them if they are worthy to enter the school.
Oh, yes.
But right now, some people take a different approach. Is the school worthy for my child? Right?
Yes.
I mean, can the school actually give my child the education he deserves?
And and you're seeing that shift all across the world. It began in the United States 20 years ago. Now the United States has come back around that curve, and I must say, I think incorrectly, where they're driving everything with testing, testing, testing. So you have many parents in the United States who are either homeschooling their children or they are putting them in private schools, because the focus at Noblesse is to develop the whole child. We want a classical education for them, so they're taught how to think, they're taught how to make decisions, they're taught to be good people, good members of the community, and that they know how they learn individually. So it's a complete support system, and along the way, so we can help them make decisions, and their parents, about what career might be of interest to them, and what skills do they have to have in a world where jobs are changing regularly and skill sets are changing regularly. So we are very, very much focused.
Right. And more, there is specialization now. It used to be,
Oh, yes.
computer, let's say computers was just one subject or
Yes.
one curriculum. But now there's like different kinds, especially now that we're in the digital
yes.
age and
Yes.
stuff like that. So
Very much
math is so specialized now, I can't
Yes.
even count how many.
It is amazing. And you asked earlier about the competition with international schools. That's why all schools have to look at what they're offering so that from a business standpoint, you are serving your market niche, but you're also looking what might be a market niche to develop there that we've not yet developed with that. So with that, and the other difference in terms of a local and international school, I in no way want to have people assume that we are denigrating the Filipino education system or anything like that. Some of our finest teachers are Filipino trained and teaching, but the difference is the curriculum that we follow and the way we're assessed, and our class sizes are smaller because many times in some of the private schools also the classes are 30 and 40, and the public schools they're larger. So it's individualized attention and international curriculum and external assessments.
So what is your maximum class size?
Our maximum class size at the high school level would be 18.
18.
Would be 18 maximum at the high school level.
And that ensures focus on the children.
Exactly.
All right.
So that's at 18 level, and at the elementary level, we 18 to 22 per class, but we want to keep at closer to 18, if at all possible.
What is the DepEd standard for maximum class size right now?
I believe that because of the transition, they're revisiting that, but I believe DepEd's preference is that a school not have more than 40 students in a class.
Okay.
But they're again restructuring that, as you mentioned, because of the change in the Filipino public school system, and therefore it's driving a change in the higher education system.
All right. For international standards, what is the ideal class size?
For international standards, it depends on the country. It used to be that in the United States you would see class sizes of 35, 40, 45 students. And then things have changed, so the class size in the States can run anywhere from 18 to 35. So every state in the United States has a different standard. Every country establishes what will be its maximum size. So for example, when I was doing some consulting work in China 2 years ago at a foreign language school, the middle school classes there had 44 students in them. And beautiful facility, tight quarters for the students, but there were no disciplinary behavior issues because the parents were paying the tuition to make sure the student was there. So for good education, across the world, what they tell us normally that a high school should not have more than 400 students in it to be able to be a quality high school, and that class sizes should run anywhere at the elementary level from 15 to no more than 23. At the junior high school, roughly that range. And the high school, depending on the student specialization.
Oh, okay. So that maximum size of 18 in your school is actually self-imposed. I mean,
Yes.
That's
Yes.
your own policy.
Yes, exactly.
Just to ensure that
Because
there is
we want
really
our students to develop a good rapport with the individual teacher. And then, for example, at the high school level this year, every student will have a homeroom teacher. And so we divide the entire population up. They meet every day with the homeroom teacher. The teacher finds out where they're struggling academically or personally, and we get support services around them. We also utilize that time to find out what they're doing well in, so we recognize that on a weekly basis.
So there's a very personal approach when it comes to guiding the child.
That's the only way I
Your
can work.
school.
They laugh because, and some of the students laugh too, because my disposition apparently is not the standard disposition of an international school headmaster. So I had to laugh because when I first came here, they began to call me the smiling headmaster with that. So the only way that I can function in a leadership role in a school setting is to personalize it, maintain the high standards, etc. And then when you have to issue a consequence to a student, positive or negative, they understand clearly why it's being given, and they understand, and the plan is to make sure that they don't repeat that same error, etc. But you don't do it you don't do it punitively. You do it in terms of wanting them to learn from that mistake.
Wow. Okay, what is your population in Noblesse?
They ended the last year with 120 students.
Okay, 120, and how many faculty members are there?
We have 24 faculty members.
All right. And which is why, I guess, this personal approach, can be implemented because precisely
very much so.
of
And
the
as
small
Mr. Dacqui said, because of the facility also, we have a wonderfully huge facility with a state-of-the-art library, computer labs, 2 computer labs, and then what we've done this year is we've actually converted that portion of the school to what we call our Success Center.
Success Center.
Yes, because...
Okay, let's talk
Yes.
about that when we come back
Wonderful.
after this short break. I like that, Success Center, because that is actually where we want our kids to go in the future, success. Okay, magbabalik po ang NegoTalk. Huwag po kayong aalis. Sa NegoTalk, and we're still having a very pleasurable chat with Dr. Harvey Childs and Mr. Arvin Dacqui of Noblesse International School. Okay, one of the truly international schools here in the region, not just in the region, but in the Philippines. And I say truly international because you actually follow international standards,
yes.
and you are getting there, almost accredited
yes.
by WASC. Okay, but being international school, I would want to go back to what you said earlier, Mr. Childs. No, being an international school, it doesn't mean that it's superior to local schools. It's just different in a way that they follow different standards from our DepEd
exactly.
mandated standards,
exactly.
right? And it's also, I guess, a way of checking to see if our child, if the school is fit for our child,
yes.
right? Because different children, have different requirements, different needs, and maybe, this is one of them. To put them in an international school is one of them.
Yes.
And if you really want to check to see if it's a truly international school or following international standards, like you mentioned, we can always go to the school,
Always, yes.
check out, inquire, and
Always.
later on, Mr. Dacqui will tell us where to go, how to go, who to talk to, ano bang pwede nating tanungin para malaman kung talaga bang nagpo-follow ng international standards ang Noblesse and stuff like that. Okay, and later on, we will give you an idea of how much the tuition fees are, the rates in Noblesse are. Okay, but before that, I would like to go back to what you mentioned earlier, Dr. Childs, about the Success Center that you mentioned, because another way to check if the school is following international standards is to check out the facilities
yes.
that the school has. So please tell us more about this Success Center that you
Certainly.
introduced earlier.
Our Success Center at the school contains our library, one of our 2 computer labs, and then also a third area that students can come to study and prepare for international exams. They can also come to be given additional instruction in an area that they're struggling in. It's an area, too, where our faculty comes for ongoing professional development so that they can continue to advance their standards. And it's a place where we do our counseling for our students for college admissions and careers.
Oh, okay. All right. You have partnerships with so many different establishments, institutions. One of them is Einstein's Memory. Could you tell us more about this?
Yes. We are focusing on innovative approaches. And so Einstein Memory is a local Filipino company that was started, and we are a training site for them. We are adopting their learning and memorization systems, but we are also the representative for them in the Angeles City in this area. So for schools or individuals who want this kind of training, we're the center for them. We're also the international partner with the American language acquisition curriculum called Reading Horizons, and that is a mixture of in-person and online instruction, and we are the Philippine representative for them. And we just learned 2 days ago that Google will be partnering with us to begin to do regional training for Google searches for teachers in November.
You learned it first on NegoTalk,
Yes.
fresh out of the news
Yes.
2 days ago.
2 days ago, yes.
All right. How fortunate for us to have our show just right after the news. Okay, and you also have your Arts Innovation
Yes.
Center?
Yes, we are developing on the top floor of our building. We know that young people learn best by experiencing. So we know, and our most creative young people normally have had some experience in the arts, fine arts, music, dance. So we are expanding those offerings after school and Saturdays. We are also beginning to expand and look at how we can begin to offer students the opportunity to be entrepreneurs. To start their own businesses, to look at how businesses run, etc. Because as you mentioned earlier, every student has a different interest level,
Right.
but we know the skill sets that all students must have to be competitive once they leave us.
Right. Wow. Maybe in a few years' time, your students could be guests here on NegoTalk.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Oh, you bet. Yes, you bet.
All right. I'm just curious to know, why these partnerships with Google, which is the biggest thing right now here in the country, and Einstein Memory and all of these partnerships, what is so attractive about Noblesse that you actually draw partners in?
I would like to say it's the handsome new headmaster.
I agree.
I'm very blessed. We have Einstein Memory solely because of Mr. Daqui's outreach to them before I arrived. We have the Google partnership because a year ago our school sent Ms. Munya and Mr. Samakula, our IB director, to training in Manila, and that opened the opportunity then for us to have that here. And our Reading Horizons program came about because of our early childhood teacher, Ms. Ketty. She recommended it highly, so as I looked at it, I've been fortunate to be able to help implement those areas. But the great thing about Noblesse is that we have so many ideas, so many things coming forth, that we're willing to try those. Let's run with that and see how that works.
All right. Right now, I'm sure that the question in our viewers' minds is, oh my gosh, it must cost so much to be able to send my child to Noblesse. Even if I wanted to get this kind of education or have my child, have this kind of education for my child, it must cost a lot. Can I afford it? How much are the tuition fees? How much are the rates in Noblesse?
For our tuition fees, magsisimula talaga yung tuition fees natin at for as low as 1,600 approximately.
This is for all foreign and for both foreign and local.
That's for local. That's for
local.
Local.
Oh, so you have a different rate for foreign nationals.
That's correct.
Which is
about $2,375 US.
2,375. Okay, that's around 105,000 in pesos.
Most likely. Yeah.
Pero for locals, specifically for Filipinos, it's 1,600 for tuition.
May discount pa tayo niyan with 30% off. Kasi currently we have the early registration promos for our early years.
Okay, so
up to 30% off.
30%, that makes it 1,200 US dollars, and converted to pesos, that's like 54,000 pesos for the whole year?
For the whole year.
Wow.
Yes, for the whole
And
year.
can it be staggered payment?
That's correct. We could actually pay
that
that one in biannual, or you could pay that one as a whole for the whole year.
Yes.
Okay, so biannual meaning divided by 2, so that's like.
I just want to check the local. Who are this local Filipino?
Right. How would we
categorize
define
that one?
local and
as
foreign?
long as the child has a Filipino passport or a Filipino birth certificate, even they are half foreign, then they are categorized as local.
And they don't need both, one or the other.
Oh, okay, okay. So that's it. That's all they need.
Yes.
But aside from this, so that's like, 54,000 for the whole year. That's very affordable and that's very reasonable considering the standards that you follow, the curriculum, the facilities, right?
And the leadership in our early childhood area. Ms. Ketty is an American teacher, highly experienced, 25 years. Ms. Anna taught in the United States. and they brought back a wonderful, wonderful curriculum and approach for our students in that area.
Okay, wow, that's great. And you also mentioned that you are open, you offer scholarships for potential, students.
Yes,
Do you offer 100% full scholarships?
Yeah, we provide 100% scholarship as long as there's an endorsement from the city government of Angeles City or even in Pampanga, in San Fernando. And plus the headmaster's scholarship, we actually provide up to 60% off for the tuition fees.
Yes.
Wow. And so it's actually your rates are very, really comparable with the local schools here existing right now. Okay. To be honest with you, I was expecting a whole lot more than what you mentioned. Okay. Which is why I'm kind of, I'm dumbfounded. No? All right. Who should they approach? Where do they go if they want to enroll? And until when can they avail of the 30% discount for enrollment?
Yeah, sure. The promo is up to August 15. Up to August 15, and the school starts on August 18.
Okay.
August 18. So for more inquiries, I suggest if you could call our telephone number. It's 045-459-9000, or check our school website. It's www.nis.com.ph, or call our school. We have actually our receptionist, our admin staff, who is actually providing you an open tour. We have an open house anytime. Just give us a call, and we're very privileged to give you an open tour.
Wow, thank you for that, and thank you for being open to that. And like you mentioned, anytime they can check out your passing rates, your facilities, etc., etc.
Exactly.
All right, at this point, I'd like to really thank you for your time, Mr.
Thank you.
Dr. Childs,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Dakis,
Thank you, ma'am.
for sharing with us this good news and for telling us what Noblesse International School is all about. But before we say goodbye, if you would want to leave our viewers with one final message, please feel free to do so.
We are excited about the future of Noblesse, and we're excited about the opportunity to serve your children. We hope that you will come to our school, look us over, and as Mr. Dakis says, you will find success at Noblesse.
Success at Noblesse. Wow, very wonderful words. Once again, thank you very much. More power to Noblesse.
And thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, very much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Sa ang sulok man ng mundo, maraming mga international schools ang itinatayo upang siguruhin na ang bawat kabataan, anumang lahing pinagmulan, ay makakapag-aral at matututo ayon sa standard of education na kanilang kailangan. Patunay lamang ito na ang lahat ng tao ay malaki ang pagpapahalaga sa edukasyon. At this point, we'd like to thank RML Enterprises for the set on our show. You can call them at 045-966-3746. And I'd like to thank Sam Au Boutique at Maligaya 168 Shopping Center, Posh Nails Pampanga at Walter Mart San Fernando, Lay Bear Waxing Salon at SM Pampanga, and Phyto Pharma Green Coffee. Till next time, ako si Dalsa Montalban Hizon. Patuloy niyo kaming samahan upang pag-usapan ang mga sikreto sa likod ng matatagumpay na negosyo sa Central Luzon.
NegoTalk would like to thank RML Enterprises. Visit them at Highway San Pablo, Mexico, Pampanga, or call them at 045-966-3746 or 0917-632-2400.